Go ahead with the closure of its engineering workshops in County Durham, together with those at Bolton and Swindon, has been hailed as a victory for the campaign mounted by local councils, North East MPs and the workforce itself. British Rail, faced with the NUR's threat of nationwide industrial action from today if the closures went ahead, said it would think again. But it's warned the unions that tough talking lies ahead over manning levels at the workshops, which are still without any major orders. Well, Nick Owen's been looking at the reaction from Shildon and finding out how the largest union, the NUR, sees the future for the works.
The natural first reaction among Shildon railway workers and their families has been one of relief. But that mood's changing pretty rapidly as union leaders in the town stress that British Rail still wants to reorganise its engineering business, and that's bound to lead to job cuts. Mr. John Priestley of the Engineering Union, and the man who's done most of the public talking, said today, "We've won the first round, but the fight must go on." The plain fact is that the problem which prompted B.R. to propose closing Shildon and cutting the 2,600 jobs there hasn't gone away. There are, quite simply, no new wagon building orders for the months ahead. The men at Shildon make much of the £800,000 profit achieved at the plant last year. But British Rail say that it'll lose £1 million this year, and that loss will rise to £2 million next year unless there are some sort of cuts. So what will happen now? British Rail Engineering has said it wants to lose about 1/6 of its 34,000 strong workforce across the country. Bowing to pressure from above, from Sir Peter Parker, the British Rail chairman, and his board, who know they've got a lot of other fights with the rail unions on their hands, the engineering sides agreed not to press on with the total closure of Shildon. The best guess now is that they'll still try to get agreement on about 900 jobs being cut there over the next year or so. That's not acceptable to local union people, at any rate, who've mounted an impressive campaign of rallies and speeches to prevent what they've seen as the danger of Shildon turning into another concert. Seldom, in the post-war years, has any one town rallied quite so spectacularly to a cause. Mr. Wheel, do you anticipate that there's going to be a lot more fighting ahead over Shildon?
Well, the first hurdle has been cleared. They have now withdrawn the closure of Shildon, Horwich and the partial closure at Swindon. And we meet in British Rail tomorrow to see how we can tackle their problems in a totally different way.
But you think the people at Shildon shouldn't be complacent?
No, what I'm saying to Shildon, I'm delighted for them that the thing is now being put off. I hope for a year at least. We've now got to argue with the board and government about new wagons for export, and this, the government proposal about this special committee to look at the framework, financial framework of the board, out of which I hope other investment decisions can be made which will guarantee the future as far ahead as I can see for Shildon.
But they do seem, the British Rail people do seem to want to make some sort of reductions there, don't they?
Well, we've got a problem for next year. There's no work on the horizon, and we've got to try and find a way to solve that. There are amounts of work that we can transfer. We'll talk to them about that. There are a whole range of options open to us, none of them easy. Let me not kid Shildon about this. But what has been decisive about the whole affair was, despite the fact we were arguing logically at the start, at the end of the day, it was the fact that the NUR says if you don't change your mind, then everything will stop. That was finally the decisive decision. But having said that, we've now got some hard work to do to find another and better solution rather than close.
We thought that Shildon would never ever close, because of our commitment and attitude towards British Rail. We've been so good for so long, we thought, in fact, we were the best.
Given it the chance to look to the future, the Shildon workforce would adapt itself to the future needs.